Sport's always been the way that I've kind of shown myself. It just kind of became this addiction of competition, of really pushing my body. It was my way of articulating who I am. And that bike, I still remember the first day getting on it and getting into this rhythm and just the toughness of it, the physical demand it takes to ride 10 miles. And to be able to be in this equipment and reach down and rub your hand through the dirt and feel connected to nature, it's a freedom. It's this thing that makes me feel 100% whole. Is there anything in particular as far as these, by the way? You look good though. Okay. Solid. The accident is very vivid in my mind. I could still see everything that was happening. An incredible day. The trails were perfect, and I went out and lap 1 got kind of warmed up, and then each lap progressively got faster. And then by the 4th lap, I was in this flow, this rhythm in and out of trails. And about a quarter mile before I'd end that ride, I would go around this sharp 90-degree turn, and then I'd smash a rock. I opened up my eyes, and I'm laying there on a day, kind of what we're in right now, and looking at this beautiful blue sky, and I had no pain, and then within seconds, all of a sudden, the pain comes back on, and it just has my body screaming and screaming.
It was about 10:45, he didn't respond. 11, he didn't respond. And then I started to get a little worried, so then I'm texting, calling. And at about 12:15, my phone rang, and it was a police officer. I went to the entrance of where the ambulance pulls in, and they opened up the back, and I saw Tom, and I was like, oh.
When I went through the hospital doors, and the first person I saw was Krista, and she just looked at me with just this fear in her eyes, and just this, it scared the crap out of me. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do, and she came over me, and I just said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she leaned down, and she's done it a million times. She's just reassured me everything's gonna be all right. And I remember she gave me a little kiss on the head, and the doctors at that point immediately were like, you can't touch him. And I'm still trying to realize even what's going on. Like, I know this is severe, I know this is bad, but you don't realize how bad it is at that point.
The doctor came out and said, we got his scans, or his MRI, and I was, okay. So I go back, and I was standing with Tom, and at that point, the surgeon is like, Tom, these are your scans, and she started to break up. And her voice starts cracking, and then I'm looking at Tom, and he's looking at me. She said, you broke your neck. What does it mean when you break your C5, C6? Oh, you don't have hands. Oh, you don't have the use of your legs. And that's when somewhat reality started to sit in a little bit of, oh my gosh, like this just happened to Tom. This just happened to the person that loves life more than anybody I have ever met.
It just hit me, and it hit me so hard, because I realized at that point it wasn't about walking, it wasn't about any of these things. It was about the fact that I literally had no independence. Everything in my life that I wanted to do was going to be dependent on somebody else. that was the moment, that was the feeling of just complete rock bottom. One quote that I've heard before, and I didn't understand it at the point, but it was the quote that J.K. Rowling said, and she said before she wrote the Harry Potter book, she said, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. And for some reason, it was in my head that night, and I thought, yeah, this is it. Like, you got to see adversity as an opportunity. You got to see this rock bottom as where you're going to start all over. And I made it a choice at that point of, you can't be. This can't be the defining moment. This situation is not going to define you. This environment isn't going to define you, and you're going to work, and you're just going to work every day and control it.
His accident happened, and I hated biking. I mean, I remember calling my brother and his brother, and I'm like, come get these bikes. I don't want any of them. I don't want them in the house. I want nothing with biking in my house. Like, I just want it out. The moment that they introduced the hand cycle, I remember I was so mad. I'm like, he's not getting back on a hand cycle. Like, are people crazy? Like, he's not getting back on a bike. No. And then when he got back on the bike and I saw Tom happy, a different happy that I haven't seen since his accident, I was like, here we go. We're back on the bike.
For me, cycling is kind of the, maybe it's a catalyst, but maybe it's more of just the fact that for recovery, for everything, I knew that it wasn't going to happen just by mistake. I knew that this recovery wasn't just going to happen. It was going to happen because I've gone through the process and continually kept getting better each and every day.
I think the bike kind of defines who Tom is. That person that loves to push himself and loves to be something better than what he thinks he could be. The bike is a piece of him. The bike allows him to create freedom in a way that he can't get it in any other way. I, in a sense, feel like it's Tom's legs. It's his wings and his way to get out and be who he was before the accident.
So cycling community, especially in our town of Bloomington, it's huge, and it always has been. So when the accident happened, that same community that was there to compete against and to ride literally embraced, and they put their arms around both Chris and I, and that cycling community became kind of a family member to us in itself.
Back in 2004 or 2005, I was a student athlete here, and he came in as a strength coach. He's been a mentor, he's been a friend, he's my boss, he's was a colleague at one point. Just, I mean, every aspect he's kind of been there. I remember the day he came back from rehab. We were taking care of his teams while he was gone. And we're kind of sitting there as a staff being like, what's he gonna be like? What's he gonna wanna do? What's he gonna feel comfortable with? And he came in that first day, and we're like, Tom, do you want us to do maybe the lift part so we can demo and you do the conditioning? What do you, he's like, give me my teams. Nope, I want my teams. I want to train them. He had changed his coaching, the words that he used, the way that he made you feel what you're supposed to feel without actually demoing it or being right in there with you. I was blown away.
It just became this profession, this job that I don't feel like I've worked at a day in my life.
We go all the way to the top. You'll be on the 2 minute on those 4. Good luck to you. Go!
It's all about understanding who they are. It's understanding who they are, not from a superficial layer, but from a really deep, caring level.
When the athletes are around him, I mean, he's not a yeller. He doesn't sit there and swear. He's not that type of coach at all. But those kids will run through a wall for him. You can't help but follow him. You can't help but hang on to every word that he has to say.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect, Come on, Dex. Come on. I think if you have the opportunity to have a voice and you could help others that maybe don't have that same voice but are in that same situation, you need to speak up. I'm just so fortunate to have a platform of, the Indiana University, to have a great team that's around me, and I see it as a responsibility. I have a story that I'm proud of. I'm proud of what Chris and I have been able to do. I'm proud of what from work to just the way we live. I'm really, really proud of that, and I think that story needs to be told to hopefully help others.
I think creating awareness is so important because some people are just angry and they don't understand how nasty words can be or their actions.
Seriously, dude, you're not supposed to have e-bikes on this thing.
This is a handicap piece of equipment.
And
what?
show me the rules saying that you're allowed to do this.
You're serious? Who are you?
Come on, buddy. You're breaking the rules at the park.
It's a handicap piece of equipment. I can't walk.
You should have led with that.
He did lead with that.
I said it. Is this your husband? Class act, brother. You're a class act.
You guys are a class act. You know the rules.
Class
What park
act.
they allow you to be there, bro.
God, dude.
Everyone's on a motorbike.
When I left that situation, I was fine with it. I thought there's ignorant people, but that's not I can't change that. I don't want to, that is what it is. Knowing the power of social media and understanding what it is, I didn't want to ever do anything to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody with it. But then on the same thing, I have this little guy that I've just gotten to know in town here, and I kept thinking in my head of, what if he's out on that trail? Like, what if that was him, just out there in his early stages, trying to figure out this world, trying to be able to be part of it, but you have to do it in a little bit different of a manner. And what if he had to go through that experience? What if his family did? And at that point, that was when I just realized the power of being an advocate, being able to have a voice, to not allow that to happen, to just say, that's not right. Like, you can't do that. You can't talk to people that way. You just can't do that. My life is fueled by one thing, and that's the word can. I believe can is the best and single most powerful word you could ever use. Can is an igniter, it's a primer. It's a reason why we could do anything. It allows hope, and it allows us to wake up in the morning and start the day making today better than yesterday. So right now we're working with the Steadfast Foundation to start Project Can. The goal of this is to get accessible equipment to people to be able to get out and enjoy what everybody else can. You gonna go for a little run? The impact it'll make on people's lives, and not just the people that are in that have disabilities or have some kind of mobility challenge. When those people are able to get out into this world and enjoy, it's going to make the big picture of stuff so much better. Come on, Dex. Ready? Wheelchair-wise or not, this has been the mindset of continually getting better each and every day. Every project I worked on, every day that I live, it's literally to make today better than yesterday. And if you're granted tomorrow, make that day better than what you got right now.